Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Siv Salma. I'll be your moderator for this session on data innovation. I have around 17 years of experience in FIS, working on the cards and payments platforms. I have with me distinguished panelists, Kiran Jain and Ravi. Kiran is Vice President of Strategic Innovation Group. Ravi is the Senior Director and IT Architect who works on the capital market lines of business. Both have rich experience and knowledge in the data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning space. Hey, Kiran, thanks for joining us today. Could you please give a brief introduction about yourself, your experience on the data science technology, and also your association with FIS?
Absolutely, and happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Shiva. So I am a part of enterprise data analytics group here at FIS. Been with the company for about about 7 years now. I started my journey from a career standpoint as a data scientist, right? So it's been about 2 decades. I've seen uh, everything from the life cycle of consuming data to now in the space of preparing data for our customers. Uh, Exciting space. A lot is happening in this space. Happy to share my thoughts here. At FIS, me and my team are responsible for building what we call as data-driven business solutions. We've built a lot of high-value assets and continue to now tap into the world of AI to enrich those assets. So looking forward to sharing my thoughts here.
Thank you. Thanks, Kiran. Um, Hi, Ravi. Again, thanks for joining us today. Can you please give us a brief introduction about yourself and your association with FIS?
Yeah, thank you, Siva. Thank you for adding me to this panel. Hi all, my name is Ravi Dangeti, and I work as the head of data engineering for capital markets, and I manage the overall data and AML technology enablement for various products within the organization. So I've been with the FIS for almost 5 years now, and like very similar to Kiran, I come from a very heavy data background. So I used to be a researcher back in Cambridge University while back, almost almost couple 15, 16 years now, and I've been on the data space for a long time, and within the cap markets as well. So Kiran and I collaborate very closely on a lot of the product launches within the cap market, and our goal is to build more products, build more data solutions, and get them close to the market.
Thanks, Ravi. Hey, it's a great pleasure talking to you both today. So in the next 45 minutes, we'll try to discuss various topics around challenges, technology, strategy around the data innovation. So I'll start with Kiran. Data is the lifeblood of enterprises today in the digital world, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. So what are the key challenges that organizations face today in handling the data, especially around the data classification, privacy, regulation, and then the compliance?
Yeah, you said it right. You said it nicely, right? I mean, data is the lifeblood. I think any modern day organization now understands the importance of data and also the significance of handling it responsibly. However, if you look around, there are some real world challenges, right? So, I mean, many organizations face this. Today, there are data silos, right? Data is floating around in every part of the organization for good reason, but it's also creates its own challenges around how do you make sure that that data is governed and any sensitive information is being handled appropriately, right? So the data puddles, we use this word data puddles a lot in our data ecosystem. uh, these data puddles create some significant challenges around our ability to govern the data, to our ability to secure the data, store some sense, make sure that sensitive data is sort of tokenized, etc., etc. So a lot of work is happening in that area around making sure that our users are aware on how to handle that data. Second is, organizations are going global, right? And and there are some cross-border regulations that needs to be considered, and it needs to be at the forefront. It cannot be an afterthought, right? So as you're designing those pipelines, you need to make sure that you have full understanding of what data can be moved cross-border and what cannot, right? So I see a lot of the organizations making sure as they move to the cloud, it becomes even more paramount in how do you create your environment in a manner that your data is secured and handled appropriately. The third one is around tools and tech, right? I mean, there are many technologies out there. I see organizations use variety of tools and tech. If anything, I would suggest that it's time to simplify that tool and tech and make sure that we go about it in a very sort of systematic manner in terms of how to define those use cases and use the right tool to bring that governance that we care about from a data standpoint.
Yeah. So I agree. I just to add on to Kiran's views, right? Because I come from the business angle here. So when we are implementing these products and solutions in the space of cap markets, which I come from, one of the things we see is we have a variety of products and diverse teams and diverse goals as well. And then when you have this kind of a diversity, not just at the data or anywhere at the business level, it is extremely difficult for enterprise to implement kind of a consistent approach, right? Because I can't define and say this is how every product needs to go through. That becomes very, very challenging because they have their own strategies and own roadmaps that they need to achieve. So in our diverse ecosystem, operationally, that is one of our biggest challenges. How do we have a bit of a standardization, of course, at the same time be able to enable these individual products be to deliver what they want to.
Correct. Extremely important.
Yeah, thanks. Great answer there. So just to add on to that, so on the data privacy part, larger organizations produce a lot of data, but that also belongs to the client, not just to the organization. So how do we play the privacy part there? So any thoughts on that?
So we have, we always carry this kind of a mindset, data minimalistic approach, right? So, use the data that you need to advance the value that you can bring to your customers, right? So, if you do not need to use individual consumer level information, then don't use it, right? It again boils down to, define your use case, then work backwards in terms of what data granularity you need to satisfy those use cases, and are you allowed contractually, are you allowed to use what set of data, right? So it's important to bear that in mind as we build upon those use cases. A lot of the time, it's permissible to use the data in an aggregated manner to produce those insights, and in return, you're giving those insights back to your customers to advance their sort of business at the same time. So, having that understanding and defining the granularity right upfront during the project phase is critical.
Great, thank you. As we know, the many enterprises are working on these challenges. So what are the strategies that organizations should employ, and also to unlock the true value of the data?
Yeah, I think Ravi covered it in his response, and he said it very nicely, right? So, of course, when we talk about data security, data privacy, data classification, it really needs to be a top-down approach, right? The security is not just the concern of folks on the data engineering side. It is everybody's concern, and we're all equally responsible for it. If I am touching data, if I'm using data, I'm responsible to make sure that I'm using it responsibly, right? So a top level enforcement of the policy and how to handle that, how to handle any kind of data is important, number one. Number two is you you know make it as a inherent, make security as part of your inherent data architecture, right? That's like, make sure that as you define your data as you define your use case and you architect that use case, you are including security as part of your architecture as you're building this out, right? Now, one thing I will mention, and I echo this with Ravi, right? The true value of data comes from its ability to basically, analyze it, right, and derive insights. So you don't want to go too far out where you restrict the ability for us to build those products or to build, empower our users to derive those insights. So it's a very fine balance wherein you do want to empower your business community to get them access to the data, let them unleash them with, with the insights that they want to derive, but at the same time making sure that we're not sort of impeaching on any of the privacy concerns that there are. So
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just to add a couple of points, right? Because I fully agree with Kiran, because it has to be a bit of a top down, right? Because
Mhm.
uh, first of all, we as an organization, right, we have significant goals that we need to achieve. Like, we have client excellence, operational efficiencies, revenue growth, risk, and colleague experience. The number of these CEO level goals that each of us want to deliver to. So the thing is, when you have these goals, each of our products need to align their strategy to that. And once the product level alignment happens, then the next step is like we need to organize ourselves, right? Because if you want to deliver these things, we need to be organizing our teams, our groups better, and they need to be high performance teams to be able to deliver these objectives. And another angle is, we also need to be partnering with key vendors, right? Because we
Mhm.
probably have some capability gaps, right? And we need to partner with those strategic vendors who can bring us these access to the capabilities, access to the knowledge, and even the talent as well in some scenarios, right? So I think the overall top-down approach, and our alignment to that, and then taking the right action will probably get us and put us in a better path in terms of our data journey.
Sure, sure. So there are different approaches to the data management. So there is centralized and decentralized data management. So can you discuss about the pros and cons of these different approaches to the data management, and also how it may suit the organization depending upon the various products they work on?
Right. Kiran, shall I take that on first? And
yes,
because I
yeah,
think
now
we've
go
been
on.
on this on
Of
this
course.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the way we have evolved our implementation model, right? Currently we are looking at data mesh. That is our primary set of principles that we are using to roll out our implementation models. So I'll talk from a cap markets perspective, and I think Kiran, you can probably cover the entire
Mhm.
FIS view. So we originally started with a siloed approach. Like as each product having their own strategies, own models, or own ways of doing things. The challenge with this is that you end up with inconsistent models, right? Because it can be the same technology being stood up in multiple groups. There may be non-standard patterns. Some one group might be doing it better, other group might be doing it in something in a suboptimal manner. And there are also missed synergies because the same problem is being solved by multiple teams. So essentially you are missing a lot of synergies as well. So then I think then we rolled into a traditional what we call a traditional model where you have like a big centralized execution team, which is taking the entire use case from a product and building it. So one of the challenges in this kind of a centralized approach is that the centralized team doesn't necessarily have the product experience, because if you see a product team, it has its own technology groups, solution management groups, or people with the domain knowledge. And when you take the data out of the domain context, right, it's very difficult to realize the business value. So when you do this a centralized approach where you have one big team building things for others, it is going to be slightly difficult to realize the business value. So further, it will also create bottlenecks, right? Because you have one team, but it needs to cater to the entire organization's execution, so which is slightly difficult to handle. So I think it's probably more than a year now. We are now working in a data mesh driven model, what we call it as central enabled and a decentralized product model. So the key thing is, we have a central team with experts, and this team owns the capabilities, owns the platforms, and it provides these capabilities to the product teams. But the execution is still with the product team. The product team tries to leverage these central capabilities and then build their data journey. So that way, the control is with the product team, and wherever they are struggling, so the central team would be coming in, helping, and then accelerating the product. So in this way, right, because the product team has the access to the data and they're able to realize the value, and I think this model seemed to give us much better results. And this is what we noticed in the past couple of years.
Yeah, no, I echo Ravi completely. I mean, and we have seen many organizations move in this direction. It kind of makes sense, right? I mean, think about this. You've gone are those days where you want to centralize everything. I mean, you're going to create a bottleneck, and organizations in this day and age want to move fast, right? Today, especially with AI, the aspiration is to be able to build apps in weeks.
Yeah.
So with that kind of a mindset, these de, this decentralized approach in terms of, okay, let me just build the foundation in terms of, let's make sure that we have the environments ready, we have all the tools and utilities and all of the security pipelines done, and then let's unleash the product team to be able to build those use cases on top of that, right? So to my team, I always give this example, right? It's important that we have this such a rock solid foundation. If I want to build a 20 skyscraper, 20-story building, I should be able to build on top of this, right?
Yeah.
So that's the main.
Thank you. So it's basically empowering the product teams to own the data generation, but then it all feeds to the one centralized location where the actual use cases are built.
They're all working off of the same foundation,
The same.
correct? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Ravi, can you talk us about the data product, the life cycle of data product? I know you worked on that. So it'll be great if you could give us the various steps involved in the data generation,
Yeah.
data product. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the goal of any data product, right, is to take data from a source system and enhance it and make it available to our target consumers, whether they are internal or external. But the goal is to make it available in a well-defined manner so that they can use it to build their business value out of that, right? And this whole life cycle is a multi-stage process. We start with the source systems. This can be databases, file systems, or a variety of sources. Once you have these sources identified, the next step is extraction, right? You need to take the data out of this, and then you have multiple models here. You can do ETL work, standard batch based models, where you can extract data on a periodic basis. Then you also have scenarios where you would want to get it real time. So there are some clients or some applications who would require a real time data movement. So there is a possible real time need as well. And there are also some scenarios where you call near real time, which is like it's not instantaneous, but at the same time not end of day. So there are multiple types of requirements in terms of how you want to extract the data from the source systems, and it all depends on the use case the client is coming to. And once you get the data, right, we use variety of tools in this area, but like once you get the data out of the source system, so that needs to be persisted. And again, right, when you want to persist, we use Snowflake, which is our primary persistence layer, and we can we build types of data warehouses, data lakes, and data marts, and there are also integration hubs we build, depending on the type of problem you want to solve or how you want and how the end consumer needs the data. So you kind of build these various types of data models. And once you build the model, right, the next step is the conducting analysis on the data, right? This is where a huge process and computation angle comes in. And this is more about preparing the data so that it can be easily consumed by the clients. And finally, right, the consumption itself, right, because there are multiple ways in which client want to consume it. Like it can be analytics, right? And if which that is probably the most standard way in which the clients want to consume this. So analytics, right? You want to plug in tools like Power BI, Tableau, BI tools, and they would be providing reports to the target consumers. And then we talked about AML, right? So the AML is a way to unlock the underlying insights from the data and again make them available to the clients. And one of the key patterns we are seeing now is what we call data share. So gone are those days of doing SFTPs, moving data sets over the network. Now we are looking at our clients who are all part of the Snowflake ecosystem, and it's as simple as like how you share your files on a Google Drive, right? How you share a file, it's as simple as that. You wanted to have that kind of an experience. People are looking to get access to data in a seamless manner, and we are looking at data share, data marketplace, native apps, and there's a direction a lot of the market is going. And this is how this is how a data product is built. Start from the source, go through this life cycle, and make it available to the client. And various egress patterns are employed in that life cycle.
Kiran, is there anything that you want to add on that?
No, I think he covered it all. I mean, that's what Ravi explained is the entire life cycle of how you take the data in its rawest form and transform into something that's valuable and tangible, right? That whether it takes the shape of a packaged insights, or it takes the shape of a report or a dashboard, or even an embedded intelligence within your products, right? That's also the power of data. So there's many form and product can manifest into, but what you just heard from him was the entire life cycle that it goes through.
So is there any specific technology that you can give insights on the modeling, how the data modeling works, maybe within affairs or in the industry?
Yeah. So the way we see this is, this is like a collection of capabilities, right? Like it's not like one particular technology that solves everything, right? Like we talked about the entire life cycle. So you have different tech, if I'm looking as an example, right? If I want to do a data ingestion, like I said, if it is a ETL based model, you have tools like Adaptia, Talent, which are, which are the ETL driven batch based kind of a data extraction models. But when you want to do streaming, right, you need to have Kafka. These two, one tool fits particular area. So like you need to pick up different types of tools based on how you want to solve those capabilities. And I think I was calling out that the Snowflake is our primary persistence layer, and and that's where we try to store our analytical data loads. We get them there, and then we depending. Another thing is in the day of cloud, right? A lot of our applications, or even the consumers as well, are coming in from the cloud-based connectivity. So we need to be able to support different stack. If it is Amazon versus Azure, so or Google, right? So depending on the cloud requirement, you might want to be able to support various tools that are needed there. So you probably want to think of all of this as collection of capabilities, and tool is a choice there.
Right.
Sure. Just to add on to that, maybe if you can give insights on the testing part, like what type of data we use in the data modeling or the testing there. Is there any insights that you can share on that?
So when you talk about data testing, right? I mean, I think data.
So these are the proprietary data that we generate. So do we take our own data, or we take data from the external third-party system, or that's public level? So how do we actually use these data for our testing?
Yeah. No, this is so we do this all the time, right? So I mean, you work backwards off of your use case. Let's say that I have a use case wherein I would use a combination of a market data, like an S&P data, for example, in combination with FIS proprietary data, and together combining those data sets would enrich, sort of my would be required to build out that use case, right? So typically what we would do is we would then first go through the process of matching what's our accuracy in matching, do we have enough sample size to be able to even derive insights out of those matching algorithms, et cetera, et cetera. So we have these standard processes and testing mechanisms in place anytime we bring in the third party sources, right, to augment our own proprietary FIS data set. Oftentimes we find that depending on the use case, we are able to leverage portion of that, a cumulative data set to be able to provide those insights. And sometimes and sometimes that's what the customer wants, right? I mean, if the customer wants to understand the effectiveness of a particular marketing campaign, we basically use some of those third party assets and our own proprietary transactional data to understand how brands are performing in the market, and which at what time of the day the customers are visiting a particular merchant, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, great. So Ravi touched about the snowflakes. Just to get more insights on that. So how organizations position themselves, their data into this platform, the Snowflake marketplace, and also I think we have different data warehouses, Azure and AWS. So how Snowflakes is different from these other cloud platforms, and maybe you can also touch how organizations can strategize the monetizing of data using these snowflakes.
Kiran, do you want to take that first, or?
Yeah. So you see, when we talk about Snowflake, Snowflake is the it's a database technology, right, on cloud. Now, when we look at Azure and AWS, they provide the entire underlying cloud infrastructure, and they also have, of which they also have uh, components like Snowflake to be able to do a lot of this data warehousing that we talked about, right? However, one of the flexibility that we get out of Snowflake is we are not locked down to a particular provider as such. So Snowflake is an independent technology from that perspective, that it can sit on AWS, it can sit on Azure, right?
Azure.
And second is it's a columnar technology. So if I have use cases wherein I need a high performant output, and I want to be able to build applications on top of that. Plus, Ravi mentioned a lot of unique capabilities, proprietary capabilities that Snowflake offers around data sharing, data marketplace, all the customers sort of becoming a part of that marketplace. That makes the proposition for Snowflake a bit unique in terms of building the data assets within Snowflake, right? So at FIS, we are very purposeful in terms of what technology to use when, right? And Snowflake is one of the technology that we use to sometimes build customer facing applications, again depending on the use case, right? Like you mentioned, we have AWS and Azure, and we use those are great technologies as well, and we use those technologies for other use cases where Snowflake may not be the right fit. So again, I would always encourage this for any organization, right? It is not about the tech, right? Tech is simply an enabler. It's important that you first understand your use cases and then work your way backward off of what is the right tech to fit that use case, not the other way around.
Sure.
Okay, just to add to Kiran said, I completely echo what Kiran was saying, because the one of the key angle for us is the ability to build the native apps and share the data to the consumers on the application itself. That is one of the things which is which a lot of our clients are asking. Like if we nowadays, when we are interacting with our clients, they say, like, they are already on the journey with the Snowflake, and they're asking us to, like, provide data sets using the mechanism of data share. And I think we and this is something that is being heard on multiple areas. So it makes it ideal for us to be on the Snowflake to be able to address the new way of exchanging data. And another thing is the compute as well, right? Because Snowflake comes with a compute engine on top of the data storage, and
Mhm.
where it can dynamically scale, right? If I want to handle a huge a huge data set processing, it is easy. I don't need to set up a new VM or a new server. I can just dynamically, instantaneously, actually, get the access to the compute and execute whatever data processing I need to, and get the insights out. So, and I can bring the compute back to normal. It's not.
Close it down. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it makes it very easy from a data processing part of it, and then even the consumer angle of all the egress channels we talking about, analytics, machine learning, and data sharing, data marketplace, APIs. So all of that is very easy with the Snowflake.
Sure. Yeah. I think connecting back to the decentralization, I think Snowflakes enables the decentralization way of data management. I hope I
Yeah,
understood that correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, right. Because we want our product teams to be able to do a lot of these things, right? And we want it to be
Yeah.
self-service. We don't want to
Right.
have like a huge process of getting a lot of these things done. So it does enable, right? Because it has connectivity to any cloud, any technology that we are usually working on, and all these platforms kind of interact cohesively. So when a product team is coming on, it is kind of seamless. If I want to use ETL or streaming, I have the right tools to pick up. If I'm coming from Azure or AWS, I have the cloud connectivity. I get onto Snowflake. Once I am there, I can build whatever I want, right? Like data marts, data lakes, based on whatever the analysis we want to do, and then provide and compute as well. It's covered there, and then you can actually bring it up, bring the insights or data sets out to clients seamlessly back on the marketplace. So it kind of enables our data journey, and pushes us significantly. So I think
That's good.
it's
Yeah.
the right path.
Sure. Sure. I think so. We touched about the challenges. We touched about the technology. We touched about the marketplace. I just want to talk about the artificial intelligence and machine learning part also. So, organizations, how do leaders view the artificial and intelligence and the machine learning to integrate these technology in the decision-making process?
Right. So there has been. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Kit.
No. Where you go? I'll follow with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So there has been a huge focus on the AML, right? In the with the Gen AI, coming on. So there has been a huge interest in the market, even within the organization as well. So the focus is now to see how we can leverage these AML technologies to unlock the potential of huge data we have within the organization. Because we are a huge processing company. Like we have various types of products, variety of data sets. We have a huge like huge potential there. So for each of the product, we are looking at how it can evolve the data insight model. Like you have this data set sitting there. Can I plug in my AML capabilities, and can I come out with insights that would directly impact consumers, helping them to take better decisions, right? And then there is also a play of productivity gains. AML can help with with boosting the automation of a lot of the regular tasks we do. And there has been a focus on leveraging AML in the space of processing to see if we can improve the overall productivity of a lot of the groups we do. And with the Gen AI, we're already seeing that. We're seeing that in the content generation space. We're seeing that in the code automation. So there are a lot of places where the AML is actually enabling the productivity gains within the organization. Further, it's going to provide even the products as well to come up with new features and a new way of offering the core services. Because you are you have these embedded capabilities coming in. It becomes easy to unlock something which was not very easily available before the dawn of AML tools. And another thing is we also are looking at AML to reduce the errors, right, in the process, right. In a lot of the human tasks, they might there is an aspect of human error. So wherever possible, we're trying to automate this simpler tasks, and that would improve the overall processing. And that's why now I feel like AML is a key pillar for us to unlock our data potential and provide better service to the clients.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I just want to build upon what Ravi just said, right? So it's and I want to share a bit of my experience, and as we look at organizations and how they're going about from an AI perspective. See, the it's important, while it's important that we don't start with AI ML. It's important that you start with your understanding of your customers and map out the journey in terms of how your customers are using your products and services. So once you go through that exercise, you will realize at what point in the journey are there friction points, right? Of for the customers. And then you go back and evaluate, can I use the power of AI and ML to remove that friction? Right? And you'll see this time and again. Any companies that have successfully deployed AI are those that have intelligently embedded AI in their existing apps and products to make that experience better and richer for their customers, right? So Ravi touched upon this. I mean, with capital markets, we have marquee products that we offer to our customer base. Now we are going through the process of, okay, all right, I mean, for the last several decades, our customers are using these products. I'm sure there are few areas of friction along how they're using my products and services. What are those specific areas? And now can I bring in this power of AI to remove that friction, to enrich that experience? That's the key, right? The moment you start with an AI, you're basically putting it on its own head and say, okay, now tell me all the use cases that I can build on top of the AI. It should be the other way around.
Agree. Yeah,
Always start with your customers. That's it.
completely agree.
So basically, we have enormous data on site, and then the technological advancement on the AI, which actually both contribute to each other's and provide value to the customer.
Yeah,
Absolutely correct.
yeah. Keep the customer at the center, right? And that's
At the
where,
center.
yeah, that's how you're able to solve the problems.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think we touched about this, but is there any challenges or complexity around implementing the AI and ML in the large institutions? Um, if you can give an example, one or two, that'll give more insights on that.
Do you want me to go after this, Ravi?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think you see, once you have now identified the use cases for AI ML, you're typically, your model, there are two parts to models, right? Your model development part and your model deployment part. So during the development phase, it's important that you are working with a high quality data, because it's kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're training your data set, you want to make sure that you're training it with a richer set of information, and variety is equally important as the volume of the data in it, right? So it's important that it's presented with all the different types of variety of scenarios that a model would need to sort of respond to. So once now that you have built the model, deployment of the model is into a production environment has its own set of challenges, right? So you have to make sure that you're using the right tool and technology for the model deployment based on the kind of model it is, and based on your use case, and based on the response time that you desire from it, right? And that can sometimes become very cost prohibitive, right? If you're looking at sub-millisecond type of a response, then you're looking at a different sort of stack versus something that you get like a batch score output on a daily basis, etc. Now, in the world of Gen AI, by definition, your large language models are, are built in the past, right? So, there are real challenges. I'm sure everybody has heard of this. Models hallucinate, right? And every model degrade over time. So it's important that you overlay, you meaning any company, as they are looking at building Gen AI applications, that they use the market available LLMs and overlay their own proprietary data to reduce as much hallucination as possible, right? There is a lot of conversation around responsible AI, ethical AI, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to go deeper into that, but those are some genuine concerns as well.
Yeah. So just to add to that, I also want to bring up a couple of points on the traditional AML space, right? Because one of the key things for sure is having strong business cases, right? When we want to start on the right business case, and I think we want to use that as the driver to get on this AML journey. And one of the things, as Kiran highlighted, right, in terms of the challenges of model development deployment, that MLOps process is pretty complex and is slightly different from the regular software development, right? Because software development, you have you go through the standard linear cycle, sorry, linear process, build it, deploy, test it, deploy it, and make it available to the
Right.
clients, right? But when it comes to the machine learning side, it needs to be continuously trained, right? Because the model needs to be kept up to date, because the underlying data is changing, and even the expectation of insights are going to be changing as well. So it is like a cyclic process, in the sense, like you need to keep it up to date all the time. And the data quality, Kiran touched upon this, but that is the key one, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So we need to have our strong data strategy that would enable us to actually build better AML products along the way. And I think with the Gen AI, this is kind of getting better. But one of the one other areas is the access to the machine learning talent, right? When I look at cap markets as an
It's a real
organization,
challenge.
yeah, it's going to be a
Right.
very difficult
It's
one.
a hard one to find. Hard one to
Yeah,
find. Yeah.
very, very difficult to have like every team with machine learning data scientists, right? So it's going to be a very difficult problem to solve. But one of the patterns I've seen in the recent past is like what do you call it as citizen data scientist. So like each
Mhm.
an analyst or a support person who should be able to without having the need to code things, they should be able to leverage models that are built, and then try to at least solve the standard problems. I think Gen AI is probably the path there, right? Because it is well trained on large data sets, and it might actually help us at least accelerate that journey of building more AI products. But at the same time, we need to keep in check of all the challenges which Karen highlighted.
Sure, sure. So we touched about the data privacy in the beginning of the session, but just
Yeah.
want to add on to that. So data security and privacy are paramount to any organization. So what are the best practices or strategies that will ensure the security and handling of sensitive information, especially in the era of increased regulation and compliance requirements? Any insights on this?
Make security a part of your inherent data architecture, right?
Mm.
Uh, have access control in place, but with making sure that the right people do have right access to the data. You
Excellent.
don't want to become a blocker where you're restricting access to everybody, and there you go. The entire potential of data is lost there. Third is it is it is create sort of an internal culture within an organization, and that's a long, it takes long time, but it can be done. We have seen organizations do it successfully. Create a culture within the organization where everybody understands how to use the data responsibly, right? And that starts from the leadership, and the leadership enforces how we use the data, and then it basically trickles down to the very at the bottom of the organization. But at any given point of time, it is, you started this call with calling data as a lifeblood, right? So you want to do this in a manner where you're protecting your customers' data, Absolutely. But you're also making sure that you are able to tap into the real potential that the data can bring to the company, especially now that data is the underpinning for a lot of the AI applications, and business models are being built on AI. So
Sure. I think the final question I want to ask both of you to share your thoughts on the future of data innovation evolving over the next few years, and what will make the organization stay forefront of this ever-changing landscape.
Yeah. So for us, right, like the key thing is we have access to huge data sets, diverse products. So we need to be leveraging this data, so we can optimize our operations, improve our customer experiences, and identify new opportunities for growth within the product as well, right? So the key for us is we need to unlock the potential of our huge data set that is sitting with us, and we need to have we need to be using all the tech capabilities that can help us achieve that. And going back to my original thesis there, right, where I said like we need to have a clear alignment of all our org level objectives. Each and every product that we have need to be very clearly aligned with it, and then with that alignment, we need to be agile and be able to organize ourselves to be able to execute things quicker and actually drive the business value. And wherever we think we need support or capabilities, we need to have strategic partnerships with various vendors or other entities, and get the access, and that's the way we can accelerate our journey. So I see that the org level alignment, reorganizing ourselves to be able to deliver better, and partnering with the right vendors and right companies will provide what we need in terms of unlocking the potential there.
yeah, you see, we're just scratching the surface when it comes to data and AI, to be honest, right? The future of data and AI is extremely bright. Um, and any organization who structures themselves to operate in the most speediest manner, for the lack of a better word. And you've seen so many organizations lately who have come up with new products, new data products, new AI products in a record-breaking time, and that is the new normal, right?
Yeah.
So organizations that can embrace this new technology and can move with a rocket speed, that they will have the sort of competitive advantage when it comes to sort of creating that differentiated value proposition for its customers.
Thank you. Thanks, Kiran. Thanks, Ravi. I had a very insightful session. Hopefully, audience also enjoyed this interaction. Any final thoughts you want to share?
No, very happy to be here. Thanks for having us, and wishing everybody, the good luck. Hope you enjoy the show, and happy to be reached out anytime for any further deep dives. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ravi.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks.
all.
Thank you.
A great opportunity. Thank you very much for your time.